Hey, Well-Rounders. Welcome to episode 30 of a Well-Rounded Life podcast. How are you doing over there, friend? How are you doing? I really hope you're having an awesome day thus far. If not, though, if you're one of my friends and you're not having such a great day, I want you to shake that negative energy, clear that mental clutter, get rid of that uneasiness, and reset. I just want to remind you that you're in your right at any moment to just stop, take a minute, and to reset as needed at any time of the day. You might have woken up and might not have had the best day. You might have had some bad news that may have come your way. But you are in your right to just stop, reset, and change and shift your mindset. Okay? So that's just a message for someone that may need to hear it. I just looked at the calendar and I realized that we have two more shows scheduled to drop before we wrap up season 2. We've covered so much over the past 30 episodes, and I can't wait. I'm super excited to see what the next season will bring. So I just want you to stay tuned. I'm going to put a poll up because I want to hear what you guys think, what you want to hear, what topics you want me to go over, what kind of guests you want. What do you want from me? I'm going to put that out there because this show is for you. I'm really glad that you're joining me today because I am going to touch on a topic that is really the core of what this show is all about, living well-rounded. The topic that we are really going to dive into today is making time for what matters most. One of my well-rounders emailed me a few weeks back and they asked me, they were like, "Hey, Geomyra, how do I make time to focus on those that I love, myself, and the things that I want to do with everything that I have going on? How do I make time for that?" Well, my answer to that question is what we will dive into today. So in today's episode, I'm sharing 4 action items to get you closer to making time to focus on what matters most. So hang tight. Hey there, and welcome to A Well-Rounded Life, the podcast, a space for creative entrepreneurs seeking an intentional life and biz filled with grace, passion, and purpose. I'm your host, Geomyra. I'm a mama, wife, dessert fanatic, and on the ultimate mission to get you closer to your idea of what it means to live a well-rounded life. Right here is where you'll find curated resources, quick tips, and relatable stories, no matter what season of life you're in. So hang out with me for a bit and let's dive in. All right, gang. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's topic, I want you to take a minute to think about what or whom matters most to you. Is it your husband, your wife, your partner? How about your kiddos, your pup, or your extended family? And of course, I have to ask, do you matter most? Meaning, do you feel that you're a priority within all that you have going on? What about your health and your mental state? I feel at times we forget that our health and wellness should be a top priority and at the top of our list. I created a free download that you can snag in our show notes or on the website, awellroundedlifepodcast.com. And once you have the worksheet, make a list of the things that matter to you most as we get into the solution of making time. So head over to the website, click the link in the show notes, get that worksheet so we can get to work. And let me pause for a minute and explain what we at Team GLP, Coaching for Creatives, Well-Rounded Life, all of that, what we consider a top priority. For us, family and self-care are super important. This means that before I can pour into my clients, before I can show up here on this podcast, before I can kick it with my BFFs, I have to make sure that my tribe is taken care of. And the facilitator of the tribe, which is me, is that I am also doing all right within all that we have going on. This means that when I plan out my day, my week, even my year, I do so with the intention of making sure I'm serving my family and myself well first. A few years back, I can recall a time where my 2 jobs, school, toxic relationships outside of the tribe, all of those things were things that I focused on. And can you guess how that turned out? Not so good. But now I can honestly say that because I have made the time to focus on what matters most, and because I'm aware, which is so important, I was able to shift and keep it moving in a direction that works for me. They say when you know better, you do better. So I am showing up today letting you know that we got to do better. We got to do better making time for the things that we consider a priority. When you think about your core values, your beliefs, and all those things, what does that look like? Core values in your business, they can have a major, major impact on how things run, as well as how we respond to things that come our way. The formal definition of core values is this. Core values are the fundamental beliefs of a person or organization. These guiding principles dictate behavior and can help people understand the difference between right and wrong. Again, when you know better, you do better, right? Core values also help companies to determine if they are on the right path and fulfilling their goals by creating an unwavering guide. And that is what we're going to do today. We are going to create a sheet which is going to guide us. Good stuff, right? I like to think of core values as a compass. All right. So core values to me equals a compass, something that is going to guide how we roll. My core values are what drive my business and my personal life. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. All right. If you work for a corporation, I want you to take a look at the core values of your company. Seriously, go on their website, do some researching, see what the core values are, and make a note of the core values. Do the core values of that company, do they align with your personal beliefs? Something to think about. Do the core values of the company align with what your vision is for yourself and your family? So these people that you're working for, that you're getting this paycheck from, what do their core values say? And how does that relate to how you roll in your family and solo? And for my entrepreneur friends, let's start with this. Do you have core values in place for your business? I know a handful of my coaching friends and other creative friends have their core values and mission statement and all that stuff up on their website because they want people to know how they roll. And they want to make sure they are attracting people that align with their vision, align with what they believe as well. I don't care if you are a solopreneur. You still need to define what your core values are. Okay? This is because the core values will be the compass for what you do and how you do it within your business. And when you begin to onboard your team, all of us want some people to help us, right? Especially going into the new year. They will be able to easily identify and adjust to the core values and implement them in the mission statement as well. So you want to make sure that your core values are legit, written down, and ready for your team to absorb and consume and start to live out. So now that we have identified what our core values are, because you wrote them down, right? And what matters most to us, you also wrote that down. Let's make a plan and make time to hone in on those things. The next thing I want you to do as you look into the new year is to pull out a calendar. Pull out that brand new 2020 calendar that you just got on Etsy or picked up at Target. Take a look at your calendar and lock in important dates such as birthdays, anniversaries, events, and projects that you have booked. Go you. You got everything booked and busy. Put those items in red as they are what I'm going to consider non-negotiables. Because you ain't missing nobody's birthday. You surely need to show up for your anniversary. And you've already committed to these clients. So those things are non-negotiables. Next, pull out that list of items that you have identified as your WMMs, is what we're going to call them, aka what matters most. For example, on my list is time spent with husband each week. All right. The husband, he has to have a designated date day with me each week. This has been our non-negotiable for 12 years at this point. Another thing that's a non-negotiable for me is monthly catch-ups with my girlfriends. I love connecting with my girls, making sure everybody's good, making sure everybody is supported, making sure everybody is being pushed to greatness. So those things are important to me. Something else that is important to me is making sure I see my siblings throughout the year. I have a brother serving in Germany, and I have another brother living in Miami, and I have two sisters that are local to me. So I just like to make sure that I am connecting to them face to face, which means sometimes I have to travel because that is important to me. Self-care activities such as yoga, massages, and all those things are also important. So they also are going to go on that WMM list that I have created as well. Step 3, Step 3 is to fill in the calendar and block off dates to make those important items happen. Every Wednesday in 2020 is going to be my designated date day with my hubby. Thus, I need to block off that day and change my work schedule to accommodate that item that is important to me. So I'm going to make sure that when I send out my new contract, that my office hours have been adjusted to include a day in the middle of the week that I am away because I am loving on someone that is important to me. Next, the fourth Saturday each month for me is now going to be designated time with my girlfriends, as I mentioned. As long as our schedules can correlate, let's make the fourth Saturday each month our catch-up time. Another example, I'm going to block off every sixth Thursday as my massage day. For health reasons, I try and make time for a massage with my favorite masseuse so that I can just make sure that my body is getting the care that it needs. I also love to travel. If you know me, you know I love to use my passport, and you know I like to see the world. And we take a few trips out of the year as a family, and I take trips with my friends. My husband and I take trips, and we do all of this because we want to make sure that we are connecting with each other and making time for the people that we just love. I have my Thanksgiving trip already tentatively scheduled on our calendar and making sure that I am not booking too many things around a trip that is our big trip for our family. And a bonus, if I actually plan everything right, we will hit Europe so that I can see my brother and his family, and I can also make sure that my family gets connected there as well. When we do our girls trip and my husband, he does his fellas trip, we make sure that the dates make sense so that our kids are being taken care of and loved on, but that we also are connecting with our squad. That's important to us. Knowing that these experiences are important to us, I make time for them on my calendar each year. Then I plan everything else around these trips, experiences, events that we have planned, and so forth. Because we all know that the dates are going to fill in. We all know that we're going to be booked. We all know that there are going to be activities and things that we want to do. But put those things in red that are non-negotiable so that you can make sure that you are serving yourself, your family, and your business well. If you're creative in the wedding industry and physically have to be on site most weekends, we need to make a plan right now before your calendar is completely booked. I see it all the time where wedding professionals, they get an inquiry, they book the wedding, they get excited. Then a few weeks will go by, then they'll look and they'll like, holy smokes, I have a wedding every single weekend in May, October, September, whatever it is, because they didn't take the time to cross out, redline the weekends that they need to recharge. So let's not kill ourselves working every single weekend in 2020. You have the right to say no to events because every inquiry is not a good inquiry, all right? Instead, take a look at your calendar and block off the weekends before or after your current bookings. By doing so, you are allowing yourself to recharge and spend time on yourself, with your family, and time to keep your business house in order. Now that we have scheduled in our travel, our major work commitments, and time for ourselves, let's move on to our last step. Step 4 is all about articulating to your family and clients what your non-negotiables are. Share your calendar with them. Sometimes we keep all this to ourselves. They are like trying to figure out if we can kick it, if we can do dates, we can do whatever. Share your non-negotiable calendar with them. That's what I'm going to call it, your non-negotiable calendar. Let them know where you're locked in so that you can feel ready and excited to do what works for you in the new year. Let them know that you're planning your vacays and your self-care routine right now. Your team also needs to know to not book a wedding every single weekend, regardless of if it's a wedding season or not. And don't tell me that you need to work every single weekend to get your coin up. Go back to episode 28 and listen in on how you can price your services so you can still get paid and still have time to live out your core values with no excuses. No excuses at all, because we got you covered there so that you don't have to work every single weekend so that you can still pay your bills and have time for your people and yourself. Okay? So let's recap. So we have identified our core values, right? That was the first thing. We made a list of what matters most to us. That was our second thing. We took said list that we made and we plugged those dates into our calendar so that we can make time for what matters most, what's important, and how we are going to roll in the new year. Lastly, we are going to make it known what we're doing and why we are doing it to the people that may be affected. Case in point, this is all about living well-rounded and making a plan to do so unapologetically and confidently. Okay? So those things are important if we are going to live our year with more intention. And as I wrap up today's show and leave you with an action plan, head over to the website at wellroundedlifepodcast.com or check out show notes so that you can get going with the free download that I made specifically for today's show. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Coach for Creatives and say hi. And a small favor, if you are listening and you haven't reviewed or rated the show, go do so right now. And I know you're already subscribed, right? Right. If not, do that too. Do that for me. I would really appreciate it. And I can't believe we are almost at the end of our season, at the end of the year, and at the end of a decade. Just wow. That's all I can say is wow. It's crazy. And as I said over on IG the other day, this is the time to make the last one the best one. Let's make this last month our best month of the year. It's time to go out with a bang with no regrets and a full heart and a clear head, ready to rock it out. So thanks for kicking it with me today, Well-Rounder. Take the tools that I just left you with and go and live well-rounded. Peace. Friends, thanks for kicking it with us this week. Remember to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode airs. I'd love it if you leave us a review and share this goodness with your squad. Until next time, seek a well-rounded life and remember to focus on what matters most.